What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the channel. Like always, we can't leave this thing alone. Dawn came over today and we're going to be installing a 10mm stroker CP3 in this thing. It kind of kills me I haven't opened this box. It's been sitting here for about a week now. And I hate not being able to open boxes, but I can today for you guys. But first of all, I need to tell you guys, I got it from Ibuildmydiesel. These guys are awesome. One thing they're doing that's different than everybody else, and I need to mention this, they sell parts, but at the same time, as you're checking out for the parts, you can actually go through their list of installers and you can actually schedule an appointment to get the part installed. Either you don't have the time, you don't have the tools, or you just don't have the knowledge, and you're okay with that. They can help you find an installer to get your parts put on, and it's actually a really cool thing. I don't know anybody else doing that right now, so I want to give a big, huge shout out to them. So I finally get to open it up. Not reaching that. Really? Spend that much on a fuel pump and you don't get a sticker? Still?
Unacceptable.
Come on.
Come on, Fleece. Be better.
So,
That's right.
so what we have is, this guy right here. And you'd never know any different. It is Fleece's Power Flow 750. It's a 10mm stroker CP3. So before we get started on the install, there's a couple of reasons why you'd go to a stroker CP3. I could run duals, but I really wanted to go with a stroker pump. One, because you're not adding moving parts to a system, you're just making the one moving part better. A factory CP3, the stroke is like 8 or 8.2 millimeters. This, just like it says, 10mm stroke, which means the piston, it's a piston pump, not a gear pump. The piston moves 2 millimeters more than the factory pump, which means we have more supply, we can maintain high pressures, and run bigger injectors. Without getting too big into this rabbit hole thing, a stock CP3, I've heard, read, all that fun stuff, that you're not going to support anything over a 35% injector. And 35% is really, really, really taxing on that factory pump. This guy, I should be able to run an 85%, and if I get froggy, I could really stress it out on a 100% injector. So, that's just one reason to do it. The other reason, that truck's got 200 and almost 300,000 miles on it. 280,000. It's getting up there. And the CP3 pump that's in it now is actually starting to show signs to me that it's getting iffy. So we're going to get started on the install. A couple things you got to do. It'd be really simple. There's the factory CP3. Not too hard to get to. It'd be a lot easier if this coolant hose wasn't in the way. I could show you guys better, but I'm going to take the belt off, and there's an access panel. I'll try to show you guys all this. It's going to be hard to get you in there, but I just want to get started on it and get it done. So, we're going to take the CP3 supply. This is my AirDog supply line. One of the reasons I like AirDog, and that's a subject for a different matter, is you still have your quick connects. It's not some half-assed other fitting. This is your rail return, this is your rail feed. This is a return line back here. And then you have the plug for your FCA. Those are your main 4 connections. And then we're also going to have 3 bolts on the back that hold it on. And the main gear nut. One thing I haven't noticed people talking about is a gear puller. So these are good to have around. I've heard of people making them. I got this one on Amazon pretty cheap. This is actually what this is gonna do is on the factory CP3, when you go to take it off, you can imagine it's mounted, right? the gear is on here, protrudes a little bit. You know, you take that gear nut off, and this is a tapered shaft, so the gear is going to be stuck on there. Now if you guys have ever dealt with a tapered shaft, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. But what this does, you have 2 bolts that thread into the holes. There's going to be like 2 pusher holes in that gear, and then this guy is going to go on there right up against the end of the shaft, and it's going to pull that gear off with your bolts. So we went ahead and we got the belt out of the way. That's pretty much all you're going to need to get out of the way to get into this front cover. I'm not going to pull that off yet. What you're going to want to do is pull your feed line off for your CP3. That comes off. So we got all 4 of our connections. We got our feed line off, we got our rail feed off, we got our return loose, we got our FCA plug off. I wanted to wait till this part to take the cover off of the front gear. You want to keep stuff out of there. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a 3/8 ratchet, just the head, and that goes into the cover. We got the cover off. I'm not gonna be able to get you guys in there to show you, but the gear nut is a 27 millimeter. I'm gonna get that off there. It's torqued down. I think it's like 70 foot-pounds, 80 foot-pounds. I'll double check and let you guys know. That's torqued down. The good thing about a manual truck is just put in 6th gear and set the park brake, and it'll come off. It's gonna naturally want to turn the motor over, but it'll come off. So I want to get that nut off. There's a nut and a washer that you absolutely do not want to drop, because once you drop the nut or the washer, it goes in the front cover, and we're gonna have to end up taking everything apart to get that out. So you don't want to do that. Best to use a magnet. Alright guys, I had to put you down for a minute. Things were getting kind of intense in there. I actually had to pull the PCM out to give me a little more room, and it was just tight. So we got the old pump out. It's kind of gross, nasty. You're not really going to see anything. There's really nothing I could show you. The only thing I have to do right now is I have to pull the high flow fitting off for the air dog. I need to clean it, because cleanliness is your friend in this situation. Need to clean that real good, get it in here in the new pump. I need to put the pump back in. One thing you're going to want to do is you want to make sure that this shaft is dry. There's no oil on it. The way that the gear sits on the shaft, it's tapered. You want a really good, clean, dry bond for that. You don't want any lubrication, because you don't want the gear to spin on the shaft. But you do want to put a little bit of oil or a little bit of lubricant on this O-ring to get it slide back in. There are 3 studs that hold the pump on to the cover right here. If you can see that, there's 3 studs. Clean your flange up real good. You know, make sure you're not getting any contaminants and any of the fuel lines, any things like that. And I'm gonna start putting it back together. We'll get that changed, and hopefully we'll be driving her soon.
Alright guys, little update. Got the new pump in. You saw that. It's kind of a bear. It's kind of a tight fit, even though it doesn't look like it should be. Got that on. There's 3 studs I showed you with nuts that hold the pump on. Get those finger tight. Come in the front, put your washer and your nut on the gear and the shaft without dropping them. That's important. Get that finger tight. I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna tighten these down. They want, I think it was like 18 foot-pounds, or that ain't much. It's not much to hold the pump to the housing. And then you're gonna torque the gear nut down to 77 foot-pounds. We'll get that done. We'll get the front cover back on. We need to hook some lines up. You probably can't see it from up here, but I did pull the PCM from the block. I need to tighten that back down. Need to go over, put the belt back on. You know, simple things like that. And then we should be ready to start this thing up. So I'm gonna keep working on it. There's not much to see, but I'll show you guys what I'm doing. I think we got everything done. We got everything in. We got all our lines hooked up. The computer's mounted again. Everything we did take off, we put back on. Let's see here. The belt's on, the intake's on, the cp3's in. Computer's mounted. I think it's time to see if this thing's gonna fire up. I hope it does, really.
I really don't need that kind of issue today, but let's get this thing fired up. See how it sounds. It shouldn't sound any different, but hey, you never know. Well guys, I think it's time to hot lap this thing. I didn't see any leaks. It started up. It ran, as you can hear. It really wasn't that bad. I mean, for me, whatever. I mean, it wasn't that bad of an install. I think the benefits of it are going to be awesome. Like I said, it's not really prevention. It's not really supporting, even though it is. I'm really excited to get this thing on the road, see how it runs, see if I can feel a difference, and see exactly what it did. I still need to get a data log for my tuners, so they can look at it and make sure everything's good, right? They want a wide open throttle data log. They said it'd be okay. I'm gonna take it for a cruise. I'm gonna look, kind of watch my pressures, see how it acts, and then try to get them a data log next week. So I know I said this at the beginning, but I really couldn't have done this without Ibuildmydiesel, and I will put that link in the bottom. And please, if you guys can, go check them out. Go look and see the parts. It's a growing site. They're growing constantly. There's always going to be new installers and more parts added and all sorts of good stuff. They're really passionate about this industry, so go check them out. At the beginning of the year they had at the end of the year they had a contest, raffle, whatever you want to say. You know, it's one of those deals that you buy a shirt, sweatshirt, you know, that kind of thing. So I thought, you know, I'll just buy a shirt and a sweatshirt. At the end of the day, you come out with something anyway, so I thought, yeah, I might as well do it. So I did. And then I kind of lost track of it, forgot about it, and then I woke up New Year's Day to winning. What I won was $1,500 to their website, which that helped immensely. I would not have been able to get this pump on here without them, and I want to be completely honest with you guys and clear. I mean, that's what this is for, right? So go check them out, and at the same time, I really don't want to do this again. So one of the best things you can do to protect your fuel system is run a good additive. I was not a believer of additives for a long time until now. Your diesel fuel is your main lubricant in the system. That CP3 pump, I don't want to do it again, for one, and two, I don't want to pay for it again. Keeping that system lubricated is really, really, really important, even if you're using an additive like once a month or once every couple fill-ups. I mean, really, it would help immensely if you did it every fill-up. But you guys do you. You guys know what I use. I've got a banner in the garage that you guys, I'm sure, see. I am a firm believer of OPTI-LUBE additives. They have an additive for every season. They have an additive for anything you want to do. And really, they've put the time, they put the research into this, and they really, really are some of the best out there. So all that aside, let's get in this thing and let's go down the road, run it for a little bit, see how it acts, check for leaks, do all that fun stuff. I'm actually pretty excited to see the difference, if there is a difference. Alrighty guys, so It's time for the ride. Well, that sounds stupid as shit. So we just stopped to check for leaks, and this thing definitely does run better. It runs different. It's fueling like it should. So we're just gonna pull back out on the highway, do this one more time for you guys, and I think we're gonna call it good for the day. That's not gonna work. That's definitely not gonna work.
I'll just hold it. Every single person in that HOA is pissed right now. Every single one of them.
It runs a lot better. It does. It's happy.
It does seem a little less laggy.